Ring me back. Just about to start the podcast. Yeah, ring us in an hour. Yeah, just starting now.
Yes, people, we're back. Big up to everyone that's in the house. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Let's get people locked in for a transfer show. The transfer window's open. There's lots to talk about. And me and Lee haven't been around for a couple of weeks because we've both been busy. Lee's been away. He's come back looking like some form of extra from Benidorm. And, he's enjoying the sunshine, bro. How was your holiday, Lee?
Ah, fantastic. Do you know what, Dan? I needed it. I don't care whatever you say. You need it. It's the first time in a very, very long while. Well, I can't remember the last time that I never watched an Arsenal game. That Southampton, I didn't see 1 minute of it. Basically, they had 4 games on the hotel. Well, I think most of around everywhere, and obviously Arsenal's game was a dead rubber, wasn't it? They was concentrating on over in Dubai. It was a really weird thing. There was on the smaller screens. It was Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Man United, but the main screen was Liverpool. But because obviously that was a dead rubber, really. You know what I mean? There was nothing on that, but that was the main game, So I wasn't really that interested. Just glad it's over and a nice break from it all, really. So and I needed it, Dan. And you just don't talk about football, and then you get people coming up to you. In the bloody airport. Come on, you Spurs, and glad to get away. I've got to tell you a story.
Yeah, go
on. Like my mate Steve Cabin normally takes us to the airport and that. He can't take us to the airport. He can pick us up, but can't take us. So we're sort of thinking, what should we do? And it's like round about 4:30, we're leaving, and we're thinking traffic might be bad, M25 be bad and all that. So I come up with a suggestion. I said, look, let's go by train. I do it quite a lot. Straight into Liverpool Street, Elizabeth Line, Heathrow, no problems, So Friday, 4:30, we've all decided to go, on Cheshunt Station with our cases. Guess what's going on that day?
Parade.
Tottenham's parade.
No, why?
And it is full of them on the other side of the road, railway.
I mean, look, it's a good day to go away to get away from it, but having to go through it is not what you want, mate.
Oh, no. And of course, I'm walking along with my case, his head down, thinking no one's going to recognise me. Oh, and then they bang, wallop. I've got stick from that fucking lot all the time, you know what I mean? So luckily we only had to wait about 5 minutes for our train. But, he was giving me stick, you know what I mean? Like European champions, we know what we are, and all of that rubbish. And, I'm telling you, another thing, you seen that expressions running around with a truck? Like, I'll tell you what, isn't it? Well, I'd stick that right up somewhere the sun don't shine for you know what I mean?
Listen, man, big up to expressions every time, but he knows what he's doing, man. He knows what he's doing.
Well, you know what I mean? You don't want to mess with. I'll tell you what. I know one of my mates was mucking about in a pub and all that, taking the mickey and all that. Won't mention the name and all that. And they was after it, they're trying to hunt him down. Don't you come round taking the mick and all that, blah blah blah, So you've got to be very careful, you know what I mean?
X will be all right, man. He's always all right.
You know what I mean? I'd let him.
He'll ring you up, mate. He'll ring you up and say, "Judges, they're after me. They're running it after me."
I'd let him die.
We are, of course, joking. We do love X. But,
I'll tell you what, he is one. I'll tell you what, with him, he's one of the funniest fellas.
Yeah,
and quick-witted fellas that I know. Unbelievable sharp brain. I've got to say.
It's funny because someone was asking me the other day who I think is the best. I think X might be the GOAT, I think X, in terms of what we do, I think what he does.
Oh, without doubt.
I think he's the best, man. I think he is number one for me. I get on with a lot of people, but I look at him and I think, do you know what? I don't know X as well as you do and well some of the other people do, but I know of him and he knows me. And I've spoken to him a few times, but for me, man, I think what he does is class, man. I think he's the GOAT. I've got to be honest. I think he's wicked, man. So funny.
I think you're right. I think that considering like he's had to build it up from, he hasn't had the help of AFTV or the help of whatever. He's had to build his own sort of brand and the way he's done. And also with Spurs as well, you know what I mean? Like, because I know a few Spurs people and all that. They're not really very much against all of that sort of stuff because AFTV come around, didn't want Spurs jumping on the bandwagon. But of course, you know, things are built up. And I just think that, I think that he's the way he goes about it. And listen, there was the good story is I never really got on with him at first because, the Arsenal Spurs connection. And I see him at Wembley one game and he's going, come on, Lee, you know we can be friends and all that. Like, and he's just such a really, really nice guy as on top of it as well. Like, but, I think at the end of the day, I would say that, for quickness, sharpness, and everything, I just think he's a very, very clever bloke. I have to say that,
he's class, man. He's class. He's funny. He's top. He's nice with it as well. Some people who can let it get to their head. He don't. He's just a
he's not changed. He's not changed from the day one.
No, a lot of time for him, man. I like him. He's a good guy, man. He's funny as hell, and you always know when you're going to get on with someone when they get on with the people you get on with. Do you know what I mean? And I knew as soon as I met him, I thought I'll get on well with you because you get on with the guys I get on with. And he's a top bloke, man. Top bloke. So big up to him. Big up to him. Not big up to Spurs because we want them to fail next season, and I'm sure they will. I always use this analogy. Tottenham Hotspur are like the 16-year-old that wants their first pint of Guinness, and when they have their pint of Guinness, they spew it up in the toilet, and it all goes wrong. That is what's going to happen with Tottenham next year. I'm sure of it. Just quickly on that though, before we do move, Ange, is he going or staying? What is happening with him?
I think I've heard that he's gone. Like, you know what I mean, like little inside information. I'm not saying too much more than that.
Okay, but, fair enough.
I
don't think that's a massive shock, to be honest.
No, and I think it's just. I think at this moment in time, what I've been told is that they're just ironing out the package and everything, like blah 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 blah. So,
isn't it funny though? Isn't it funny that they finally win something and they get rid of him?
Yeah, and I mean, and great news for me is that Ryan's left as well. Like, so that's
he's gone to West Brom now, hasn't he?
Like, fantastic. Yes, so. I was speaking to Glenn yesterday, and Glenn's mum and dad I see yesterday, and I knew before it come out that he was going there, but all of us are delighted that he has nothing to do with them no more, like, And for me now, I want him to do really, really well again. It was really difficult because we were talking about it yesterday. You want him to do well, but it was Spurs. So, it was a difficult one, really, like, but then from our point of view, like now he's at West Brom, I can really go into that. And I was, fun enough, talking to Glenn, so it'd be really interesting with Sheffield United versus West Brom next season. That'd be a game where I'll be torn a little bit, like, But yeah, big up to Ryan and a massive, massive opportunity for him. Deserves it. I'll tell you that now. Forget about his Spurs.
He does, man. He does.
A lovely lad.
Been there. He's a great lad, obviously. And he's been there a long time, and he's always given his 100%, and he's been loyal. And it's time for him to go and have a proper go at it now. And just quickly on Tyrese, I weren't feeling too well on the day of the playoff final. But that made me feel a little bit better for about 10 minutes. And then it went wrong after that. I mean, I could not believe that they turned that around the way they did. It was crazy, wasn't it? And the bloke who got him in there was now going to Brighton. What a send-off that is for him. Like, it's crazy, really. I was gutted for him. I don't know why he got taken off. The minute they took him off, it went wrong. What's his name? Wilder, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what? And I was saying this, like, we gets into the bar. It's 3 o'clock kickoff, so it's 6 o'clock inside. Looking forward to it. Regan is trying to get a bet on because every time we watch, we've watched it together. We've gone up there and seen it. We've always had Tyrese first goal scorer. He managed to get it on Tyrese first goal scorer. Sheffield United to win. So because it's very, very difficult in Dubai to get you have to go through VPN to get there and everything. Well, we got it. So he's on. And I thought they were sensational in the first half, and then when he scores, you know what I mean. Like, we're in the lounge, not. And down below, if you can imagine, it is the bar. So there's a big screen, but we're in the posh lounge and having a few drinks and all that. And of course, when he scores, I couldn't contain myself. I'm up, like, I mean, it was not only because it's Tyrese, it's a fantastic goal as well. It is an absolute stunning goal. But I blame the manager. He's done it time and time again. They've been 1-0 up. I said, you watch 60 minutes here, bring him off and he brings off the attackers. He goes all defensive. He does it every single time. Plymouth is another occasion that they've done it, which cost them their promotion in the first place. And he done it again. And when he done it, you know what I mean? Like, I was so down afterwards, like, you know what I mean? So down. Spoke to Tyrese about a day later because he was still very, very down about it. But like, that really ruined my holiday a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It really,
it was a shame. I was gutted, to be honest.
It was a tough one. But
and the thing is, I don't actually particularly hate Sunderland either. But it's just the fact that I so badly wanted them to do well. And I don't even like Sheffield United, to be fair. But it's just because Ty's there now. I'm like, yeah, go on then. Let's see what we can do. But I mean, for him to score that and then still not be able to celebrate it properly, it's gutting, really.
Oh, it was. And I said to him that, but at the end of the day, he's had a wonderful season. You know what I mean? First season at Sheffield United, he's done really well. Stock's gone up. It was amazing. And the thing is, like, you know, we was all got a little bit emotional because obviously if Kevin was alive, he'd have been there to see that, you know, scoring at Wembley, something that Kevin didn't do, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was a massive thing. But yeah, that's, you know, like that, them losing. And then I wanted Orient to win as also. The next day they lose to bleeding Charlton. But Wimbledon went through, which was pleasing. But the only thing about the Sheffield United not winning, I wanted Coventry to go through because I've not been to Coventry's new ground and it was like halfway there. But now Leeds, Sunderland, and Burnley.
Proper treks they are.
Proper bloody treks up north. You know what I mean? Which ain't great, you know what I mean? So, like, Sheffield United's a proper slap as well. Don't get me wrong, like, you know what I mean? Sheffield United, by the way, Sheffield is further than you think it is. You just think, like, oh, we're going to get there and on and on. And Leeds is the same. I don't know. I think it's because you're going up the M1.
Sheffield ain't so bad on a train, is it? From London.
No,
it's like 2 hours, I think. That's
I've done it on the train, and it's much better on a train. But, like, but, like, you know, if you're driving...
I like Leeds. I like Ellen Road. But Burnley, I'm not interested. Sunderland's great stadium, but what a trek. The only good thing about that is going to get Newcastle Sunderland, which is, we haven't seen that for a while, and that is a proper derby. That'd
be a good game next season, like, you know. And like, the good thing about Sunderland is that you can stay in Newcastle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
Two nights up in Newcastle now. Like,
2 nights now, yeah. Or 4 nights if you want it.
Yeah. So that ain't a bad thing. That ain't a bad thing because Newcastle is a wonderful night out, but. You know, that is a long trek up there. Like,
it is, mate.
Do it twice. And as you say, Leeds is fantastic, but Leeds is a long way as well. So, listen, some good trips to look forward to.
There's enough up north now, isn't there? Everton, Liverpool, 2 Manchester clubs, 2 up there now in Tyneside. It's trekking it.
Unbelievable, right? You know, we were saying, like, because I follow a little bit of the League One, the Championship, and all that. There ain't that many teams in London playing in the Championship. I think there was 2, which was QPR and Millwall. I think that's gone up now 1 to Charlton. But not very many London teams. So there's
Watford, isn't it? Is that it? Watford's the only other one.
Is Watford London? London really, like, you know, really pushing it.
Yeah.
You know,
we are pushing it, but I suppose I wouldn't mind. What my point is, it's not exactly hard to get to. Is my point. But,
So there's not so many great, you know, games. But I'm if things work out, as I said to Glenn yesterday, like, you know, West Brom and Sheffield United is definitely on the hit for next season. Like, if and
the Championship's quite good now. Like, it's brilliant quality now, and it's good competitiveness. Yeah,
that was the other thing. Of course, Sheffield United went 2-0 up in that game, and VAR got involved.
Yes,
and VAR has not been involved the whole way through. Now, come on, the whole league season. The playoff semi-finals, why have it in the playoff final? I can't understand that. Why bring it in the...
Well, like the Leighton Orient goal, I don't know if you saw that. That was miles offside.
Oh, in the semi, against unbelievable. But no VAR, and then in the finals there's VAR. If you're gonna have VAR, have it all the way through or not at all. I do agree with Wilder when he went on about that. But my God, you know what I mean? Now, you know, when you talk about managers. winning or losing leagues or whatever. He cost Sheffield United promotion by his negative fee. Listen, I think he's he's done fantastically well to get him where he was, but when it mattered, didn't get him over the line. So he's under pressure next season without a shadow of a doubt.
He 100% is, mate. He 100% is. Look, I've got to say it's a kind of London parade season. Unfortunately, we know Tottenham and Chelsea have won trophies, but Charlton, big up to them. Wimbledon, big up to them. They both got their trophies as well as obviously Sunderland, who went up outside of London. So yeah, man, everyone in London was winning trophies other than us. Palace as well. Oh dear, isn't it awful? Dear me. Anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about Arsenal. Windows open, judges. And it's going to be a big summer, they say. Now, I know we've heard this before, but Josh Kroenke's come out and said they're going to spend. There seems to be a lot of faith in this man. Dharmesh Sheth from Sky Sports has said that there's more certainty in Arsenal's executive structure following the appointment of Andrea Berta. And as a result, Arsenal are expected to be very decisive in this transfer window. And I would expect them to get their business done efficiently. Now, that's something we absolutely must do. And that's goes for every season for me. I don't think that's just that. I think we need to get things done quite quickly, right? I will say this, though. When Josh Kroenke and Arteta say it's a big summer and Andrea Berta's appointment him, it's kind of excitement. Do you think this is the summer that, before we start going about what we need and all that, do you think this is a summer that we go bang, and we spend big time? Like, I'm talking like 250 plus million pounds.
I think we'll spend 200 at least. I do. But I don't think that we're going to be overly excited about that. And I don't mean to say that's a bad thing. I'll try and explain it. Like, Zubimendi is a fantastic signing, but he's not one that's going to excite me. But I think there's going to be about 3, maybe 2, 3, 4 of them.
Okay.
But they're going to improve us no end. I don't think that we're going to be bouncing into next season excited, thinking we're going to win it with the signings. I think we might have to just trust it a little bit. Like, you know, I don't think we're going to get the striker that we all want. That's my opinion. But I think that we're going to get a much stronger squad. And I say that when I done a thing yesterday about it, a show yesterday about it. But when I look at it, players like Partey, Havertz, Ben White, just to name 3, that are going to be squad players next season. Now, if they're squad players, that's just making the team a lot. The team's going to be a lot stronger than the 11. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I think will happen. I think that the likes of Kai Havertz will still have but Kai Havertz will still have a big say of what to do. But I don't think, like, there was a cup final, he would necessarily be starting. As for Ben White, I don't think that he will. As for Thomas Partey, I don't think he will as well. Like, you know, Calafiori would be another one that would be on the bench in that game. Like, you know, all good international footballers, but that's what I think that we need. Like, you know what I mean? So to make that squad strong, and I think that's where we've let. You know, for instance, Dan, Zubimendi plays on the Saturday, Thomas Partey plays on the Tuesday. You ain't thinking there's a massive difference, drop off. You know, Kai Havertz comes in, isn't a massive drop off for whoever's the front foot forward, like, you know. Then you look at the wide left, if it's Martinelli being left out, someone coming in, like, so. But I don't think that I don't think you're gonna be looking at it and going, wow, that's the signing that's gonna take us over win us the league. Hopefully at the end of the season we go, do you know what, that window was the reason we won it, because we got this and got that. That's how I see it. I don't think I'm going to be do you know, like when Declan Rice come on, he made his debut in Washington when he come on, I was all excited.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get that sort of signing, if I'll be really honest about it. Like, you know, I know the one we want. If you want to say, like, you know, Gyokeres, that may happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. I don't. That's my personal opinion. I might be wrong. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I got to be real. Like, I feel like it needs to. I feel like we need to be excited. I feel like we need to have that window shutting and us all be like, wow, okay, we're ready to go. I think Andrea Berta gives me more reassurance that we might get close to that. But I think the market at the moment, there's only really 2 players that would make me go, wow. And we'll come on to who they are in a minute. But I just feel like now it's time. Like, for me, he's lucky to be here, Mikel Arteta. Got to say that. The Cronkies, for me, are the issue because they're keeping someone here who ain't good enough. So that's my brutal opinion. When you ask me the question of, you want me, Dan Potts, being raw and emotional, that's my honest opinion, Lee. People don't want to hear that. That's fine by me. I don't care. You know me. I'll say how it is. I think he's lucky to be here. He shouldn't be here. He should be gone. And I think the ownership have got zero ambition to win this league. That's my honest, brutal opinion. And I won't change that until I'm proven wrong. If you want me to forget about that and move on with the season, because I know he's staying, and I know the Cronkies aren't going anywhere, and I know that we've got Berta to go in, and you want me to be realistic and serious about the window, I think we might have a good window. I think we might this time. I think Andrea Berta might be the guy that we needed. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to have the window that wins us everything, but certainly I think what we will have is a couple of players coming in that we're actually quite happy with, that we think, oh, okay, that's quite an interesting signing. But what I need to see is wow signings, if I'm honest with you. Yeah. And the season, for me, is all at the last few weeks anyway, about 2 strikers. Now, I know that we have our preference, and I think the fans all are in kind of unison with this preference, to be honest, about what they want. But Sammy Mockbell is talking about Gyokeres and Sesko. The information is apparently Arsenal working towards confirming the frameworks of both these players before they make a final decision on which one to proceed with. Sesko's near universal backing at the club, but crucially will be the most expensive deal. Gyokeres' chances of moving to Arsenal have increased since Berta's appointment. The price is key here. Sesko ticks many boxes in terms of profile. He's younger and plays in a stronger league, according to the recruitment data. But Gyokeres is more economical and would see the club divert from their longer-term strategy, given Sesko has always been a target. So what they're saying there is they're looking at both players. Sesko's the one they've always wanted. Gyokeres is one that's cheaper and is probably better and more ready now. And it looks like they've been swayed towards that. What does that mean to you, judges? What are you saying?
Do you know what? I have no clue on this, really. Like, you know, I think that it's one of those ones where you just got to sit and wait and see what happens and whatever they go for. This is how I see it. The way that Arteta plays and everything like that, Sesko is the one, right? That's the one that is preference for it. Like, you know, I think if Arsenal were to get Gyokeres, I think they've got a better chance of winning the league next season. Where I think that it could be another year down the line, another 2 years down the line before Arsenal were competing for the title with Sesko. But then you're going to have the argument, well, in another 2 years, is Saka going to want to be around? Is Saliba going to want to be around? Blah, 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 blah. That is the case where it is. Or does Sesko come in and light it up straight away? Now, the data and whatever you want to think about it, like, I think is maybe that it's too much for him to come in the first season, like, you know. So Gyokeres with that, you know. Some, I think, just on the chat there said, why don't get both? I'd love to see us get both. If Arsenal got both, now that is exciting.
That is exciting.
That is exciting. It's doable. It's doable, because financially we've got the money, yeah. So, but I don't think that from a, you know, like, you know, Sesko can play on the wide and all that. I think is, you know, I just think the way Arteta plays profile, while Sesko's the choice for him. I get that, but I think that if Arteta's brave and he's a top manager, I think it's the case of, like, I've got to do something slightly different off the cuff a little bit. And for me, that is Gyokeres. I do think that Gyokeres is the one, you know what I mean? But I don't know if there's in it, like, What? Right. So they've negotiated with both. Who does that decision come down to? Both are feasible and whatever, right? Who's going to make that decision? The Kroenke's going to say, "All right, we're happy with the Gyokeres one because it's cheaper." The reason it's a little bit cheaper is because he's 26, 27, where Sesko's 22. Listen, for me, if you're going to tell me who's going to be the best player out of two, I think it will be Sesko. But
you mean one day in terms of potential, right?
Yeah, I think that when I genuinely believe this, at 26 years of age, I think Sesko have been far better than Gyokeres at 26. But we want something now, Dan. We've got to win.
That's 5 years. That's 5 years away. That is.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. I think we're in a place now where we've got 2 years at now. But I don't look at it and go, it's 3 years wasted or whatever. I think the first year, last season was definitely a waste, but I think we're in a 4 or 5 year period where this team can be one of the best teams in Europe. And it's proved that over the last few months. You watched PSG the other day, we give them a right good game. They were better than us. No two ways about it, and deserved to beat us over 2 legs. But there weren't much in it. Then they go and do what they've done. Funny enough, they go and do what they've done to Inter Milan, and there's a little bit more credit about what Arsenal have done. But ultimately, we're not far off of them. And they were outstanding, by the way. So I don't see this going like 4 or 5 years down when Sesko's going to be at his prime. Now, I remember that, people will. That Thierry Henry, I'll go back to Henry, was absolutely sensational for Arsenal. There's no two ways about it. It took him 2 years before he started doing what he was doing. I don't think we got 2 years, Dan. That's my thing. If we have another season like this, I don't see how Mikel can survive. I don't. I don't. You know what I mean? That's my personal thing, because look, you've said what you've said, and I respect what you say, and it's I'm not quite at that moment. I do think that he is good enough. I don't know if he's good enough to get us over the line. It's a different conversation. That's a different thing. But I think that if he goes and buys Sesko and he doesn't get over the line, I can't see him surviving. I can't. You know what I mean? If we don't win nothing next season. I'm definitely not saying like.
Can I ask you on that? Because me, Curtis, and Turkish and the guys were talking yesterday, and I was asked the question: minimum expectation. And I've had some kickback from this, which is quite surprising. You can't win in this game. 1 minute I'm told I'm too negative. Next minute I'm told that I'm too soft. I'd take Premier League challenge and a trophy next season. I would. Personally, I'm so desperate for silverware, Lee, that I don't care if it's an FA Cup and you come second on the last day of the season. I think that is a minimum expectation. Some people are saying, are you joking? Champions League or Premier League, or he's off. Win me a cup double ain't good enough. Where are you at?
Listen, I think that we've got to win the league. I think that for me is the one. Forget about the Champions League.
He's got to go if he don't win the league.
Well, listen, if he was to win the FA Cup and League Cup, and we're 1 or 2 points going into the last game of the season for the league, I think that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, because you give it a real good go. I'm not in the camp if we're 8, 9, 10 points behind and we've won the Carabao Cup that he should stay either. I'm sorry, like, you know what I mean? We've got to put in the right
league.
Yeah, we've got to put in the right good, It's 3 years now we've been runners up like Dan, you know what I mean? I'm not saying we've got the right to win it. I'm not saying that we've got the right to win it. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that we've got to challenge for it. And if we fall short of it, but we've won a couple of cups along the way, fantastic. I don't think that we'll win the Champions League. I think you see how good you've got to be to win the Champions League. And I just don't think that we're at that level quite yet.
Now, have you noticed a change in the fan base, though, Lee? Like, they're a lot more less lenient with Mikel now as a whole. It's a lot more like, come on, mate, time to deliver next year or it's goodbye. And I didn't think I would have. I thought there'd be a lot more people that were still sticking by it,
Listen, there's a lot of people saying, about Mikel and all that, like, but listen, let's get this right. were protesting on the streets of Arsene Wenger, and he won 3 FA Cups.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like, the FA Cups weren't good enough. Why weren't they good enough? Because of what he's done in the previous. So why are people changing from that point of view? You know, listen, we was winning cups, but we weren't happy. I know that sounds silly, but I remember coming out of we need to challenge for the league. We won the FA Cup and come fifth in the league. We was going into the Europa League that season. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great, Tottenham were in the Champions League. There we was celebrating the FA Cup, which was great to win the trophy, but deep down, that was not what we wanted. So for me, I think that it is the league. Listen, we've come close in the last few years. We've got a good enough team to win this bloody league. That's the point where I'm at now. Yes, we haven't had the striker. That's the choice that happens this season. If he gets the striker and we don't win the league, I'm looking at it and going, well, we've got the best defence in the league. We've got a striker. We've got this. We've got the best midfielder in the league. Well, one of the best, if not in Europe. Why are you not getting over the line? Why is that team not getting? And you've got to be looking at the manager then. You can't be looking at the crowd and asking the fans to do anymore, because I think that they're doing more than enough. And then it has to come down onto the manager then, listen, I do think that last season, Dan, I've sort of sat back and thought about it and everything. The Champions League was fantastic. We was never in that semi-final, if I'll be really honest. And I think that covered up 1,000 sins.
Yeah, it did.
The season, it wasn't good enough. The way we played wasn't good enough. The entertainment value wasn't good enough. The home form, not good enough. They're all things that he's got to address. And I'm being honest, Dan, I don't think it's just a centre forward that's going to change that. I think that he's going to have to change his way of thinking as well. He's got to go back and be a little bit more, what's the word, dynamic, making sure that we're a little bit more attack-minded.
Yeah.
And also find a way of beating.
We've got to be attack-minded. We can't go with this resolute, compact, set-piece FC stuff, because that ain't what we need. And look, if we get the right pieces to the puzzle in the first 11, you might look at Martinelli and think, "Oh, he's looking better." Ødegaard, "Oh, he's coming back. What's happening? Is Saka? Crikey, he's on fire." But we've got to allow the midfield to be balanced right, and we've got to allow this to be a lot more attack-minded, because Mikel Arteta can do it. 2022-23, we were scintillating, bruv. Everybody was scared of Arsenal. Rival fans were silent. They didn't want to say it, but they were scared, mate. They were like, "Christ, can't see anyone catching these. 8 points clear. Oh, my God, what's happening here? Into the new year, they're going to bloody win the league here." Why did we go back to this crap, boring, sideways, backwards, corner FC football? Because he's got PTSD and fear, and that's got to change. He's got to shrug that off. He's got to go and try and win games, not be frightened to lose them. Because there's no point bringing all these players in if we're going to play that way. It ain't going to work, mate. He's got to change it completely. So there's a lot that's got to go in favour of. But look, I wanted to bring this super chat in because it does talk about the two strikers. Eric says, given their unique skills, I'd like to buy both and play 3-5-2. Saka and Lewis-Skelly as wing-backs, and then Rice, Zubimendi and Ødegaard in a trio with a back three. Martinelli, Partey, White, Havertz, Calafiori and Nwaneri would all be on the bench. Look, I've got to say that if we do get the 4 or 5 players in that I expect us to, I think we need more than that, by the way, but I think we'll probably get that realistically this summer. Our bench is then starting to look a little bit better. You mentioned it earlier about Havertz being on the bench, Calafiori, Ben White, Partey, Martinelli would be added to that. You'd also look at midfield, potentially. Maybe some of the defenders would potentially still got the youngsters coming through as well. And there's a lot of talk about Max Dowman being a part of that squad next season as well. So I think the squad will start to look better, which is, of course, what we've got to do. But that isn't just bringing in a striker. Now, I'm with you. I want Gyokeres because he's ready now. Sesko, for me, will be ready in a couple of years, and he probably will be an upgrade on what we've got because he's better than Havertz, right? My problem is he a lot better than Havertz? I don't know. Gyokeres leaves Havertz dead in the water. Just look at the numbers. It's scary, right? So that, for me, means he's ready. You've got to look at the other positions of players coming in. We need a left winger. We need an attacking midfielder. There's reports of another midfielder coming in, obviously, Zubimendi. I think there's going to be backup players as well. You know, a defender or a goalkeeper maybe that come in and sit on that bench too. So there's a lot of work to be done here. And there's a lot of talk about Man United and Liverpool and City and Chelsea all getting some business done. So we've got to be alongside him, because I'll be honest with you, judges, Liverpool looks scary, mate. Florian Wirtz is not to be messed with. He is a proper footballer, mate. And they got Gyokeres and Frimpong coming in alongside that. They're looking at a striker as well. So we've got to be, my dad said it best. He said, it's like when you pick your teams at school. You don't want to be left with a nerdy, big, fat kid who can't kick a ball at the end. You got to go and get your players quick, right? And that, for me, is where we're at. Because make no qualms about it, Chelsea need a striker as well. Liverpool want a striker. Man United want a striker. There's other teams in Europe like Barcelona that want a striker. So we've got to be quickly, haven't we?
Yeah, and that's why this window, I think, now should be done. We've got 10 days. I know it don't really affect us, but it's more for the teams in this World Cup thing. But for us, I think we've got to be looking at it and make something happen from it. Like we have moved quick with Zubimendi, and I'm pretty sure that we'll move quick for the striker. I don't want it going on and on and on. What I want is when they get on that plane to Singapore, all the players are there, Dan. There's no excuses. There's no excuses, you know what I mean? That they should all be there in that training camp, working on lots of things. One being like fitness, two, getting a midfield that is going to break down. So I think at the end of the day, the midfield's got to change at home. I don't know who, but it's got to change. You have one holding midfield player and you have two attacking. You could actually put Havertz into that role. But what I'm saying is, I don't think that's what we need. Do you know the player I'll be going for? They've just missed out on Champions League football, and that's Rodgers at Aston Villa. Someone that is a ball-carrying midfielder against a low block. That is what I would do. Now that would excite me. It would probably cost us 60 million, but people go, "Oh, yeah, great." But that was the sort of signing. That's the sort of midfield player that we need. Someone that picks the ball up and runs at players, and maybe beats a player or two, and then that opens the complete thing up. Burst past players from 20 yards. What's name can do it, Declan Rice. But then when you go away from home, you change your style a little bit more. Declan Rice and Rodgers.
What about Eze, Lee? I've been talking a lot about Eze.
Yeah, it would be another one that I would look at. I think at the end of the day, I don't think Crystal Palace will sell Eze this season. And I don't think Eze will probably go. I think probably what has happened at Crystal Palace, I'd be very, very surprised. But for me, that would be something to look at there. Why not Eze and Morgan Rodgers? That would be my perfect. If you could sign them two, right, and a forward, that would be great for me. And if it is Sesko, Rodgers gets goals from midfield. You know what I mean? You've got Odegaard who's got to have a better season. We cannot go into next season, then, right, with Martin Odegaard playing the season that he has had, right? Where I mean that, where it's been allowed, he has been, he's fantastic the season before, but this season he's been poor. But the reason he's carried on playing is because we've got no one else. I don't want that excuse no more. If he's not doing the business, out you come, you bring in so and so and so and so, you know what I mean? And you have to work your way back into the team. Simple as that. I don't think we can have any sort of passengers next season. And I think that there were too many of them last season, if I'll be really honest. Now, you want me to name them, I'll name them. But there have been a lot of players because of injuries and whatever, Also, players like Tomiyasu. If you're not fit by Singapore, then I'm not interested. You get yourself fit by Singapore and you be on that plane and you be getting fit because you have got to. Your job is to come in and let other players have rest. We've got a player now that's just come off an operation because of the fact of playing too many games. Can't have that next season, Dan. So that's something I would do that, Now, at the end of the day, I don't care. They're my preferences, right? If I was the ideal market for me would be Zubimendi, Rodgers, Eze, Gyokeres. That would be a fantastic window.
Yeah, wow, it would.
Fantastic window for Arsenal. Now, and I'm not saying that's going to win us the league, but that gives us a bloody good chance, right? Because I want to see, since Mikel, like when people criticise Mikel and people go on about Mikel, and I'm still very much, undecided, whatever. Like the one thing that criticism that I will throw at him, and I throw at anybody, right, is since he's been at this football club, the one thing is he's improved everything. He's improved the atmosphere. He's improved the team now with win games and whatever. The one thing he's not done, our home form is not as good as it should be. Like we've not been able to break down teams for drop points against lower opposition too many times at home. That is my problem. Like, you know what I mean? He has to resolve that problem. Because if you think about it, like I remember someone saying the other day, like it was an achievement. We've not lost to a top 6 team for 3 years. What does that tell you? That we've lost to teams like down the bottom then? Because if you had, you won everything. You know what I mean? Like, so as good as that has been, you know what I mean? Like, it's that where you've got to beat teams in there. Talking about, there's a lot of talk about Rangers and Celtic at the moment, like, new manager at Rangers. Rangers head-to-head with Celtic was virtually the same. It was what they didn't do against the teams in the lower league. That's what the problem we've got. And we've got to get over that. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not sitting here next season bored out of my head, like thinking, you can't break this team down, seeing the same football that I've seen for 3 or 4 years at this club. He has got to change that. I don't think he can do it with the players he's got, Dan. So I think he's got to change it and bring in players that are different. That's why I want to see different players. People going on about, a replacement for Odegaard. No, Odegaard's your one that does that, but you want someone else to do something different in that midfield and someone different to do that, So, for instance, you might have to play Odegaard in there. You can play another attacking midfield player. Declan Rice might have to miss out for one game. If at the end of the day, is it a bad thing if Declan Rice misses out against Burnley at home? You know what I mean? Like, but this moment in time, when we play Wolves at home on the first day of the season last season, we had to have a half-fit Saka plan, a half-fit Declan Rice plan, because we haven't got anybody bloody else to do it. I don't want that no more, Dan. Like, I want to go against Burnley and against teams like Wolves and go, do you know what, Declan? We've got a big game against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. You're not playing on that game. You are on that. And I want to sit there confident that we're going to win the game.
Yep. That's what we got to do now. That's what we got to do this summer. This is what I mean. There's a lot to do here. Ain't it just about, right, we're getting Gyokeres now, let's go. We need a lot more than that, And I think what you've said there is fair. Look, I want Rodrigo. That's the left winger that I do want. It has gone quiet. I don't know if he's going to stay at Madrid now that Xabi Alonso's coming in and had a chat with him. But that's the sort of quality that I want. Gyokeres coming in to start as striker. Rodrigo coming in as a left winger. Morgan, Rogers and Eze is a great shout, by the way. One of those is an attacking midfielder. Then obviously you look at Zubimendi coming in, which we're going to talk about next. And then if you want to go and get players after that, it's replacing the ones that has left, yeah? If Kivior goes, you go get a centre-back to cover him. If what's-his-name's leaving in goal, you go either get Cole Hine or you go and upgrade on him and get another backup goalkeeper. I'm not too fussed about those two positions, yeah? I don't care next season if we start with Kivior and Hine or another defender and another goalkeeper. It doesn't really bother me because they're both not going to play. Do you know what I mean? They're just going to be cover.
Yeah,
the ones that bother me are the ones that are in those positions, and that is getting that attacking that midfield right, getting Zubimendi and whoever, getting a left winger and a striker. They're the four for me that we absolutely have to get. The other 2 or 3, they are like bonus on top. 6 or 7 is what we need. Let's hope that we get the majority of that. Let's just quickly touch on Zubimendi quickly, Lee, because obviously there's talk about him coming in July, not in June, ASAP, because I can't quite believe this, but this is apparently the truth here. Zubimendi's move to Arsenal was effectively agreed, but it's pending a medical. Fans may have to be waiting for confirmation because Real Sociedad have expressed a preference for the deal not to be ratified until the 1st of July for accounting purposes. How's that work then? Like, what is that all about?
Well, listen, the way I see it is that these deals are all done, but it is something to do with, fair play, whatever that thing is.
PSR.
PSR and all that, like, you know what I mean? So they have to, like, it would go into last year's financial thing instead of next season's financial thing. So it's like, I know it sounds silly, like they'll have more money at the end of next season if they do it next season, whatever, like. So I think that a lot of deals are likely to happen like that, like, you know. Don't forget, this is unprecedented, this little one here, you know. So what happens is they all get signed and sealed. It's like, when you sign a contract, if you sign your contract today, say if you sign for Arsenal today, your contract doesn't actually start until the 1st of July. That's been the case of all the time. Your contract is from the 1st of July to the 31st of June. You know what I mean? It's been done, like, you know. I don't think that that's changed. So I think that, you know, that they, you know, like, for instance, Jorginho has signed for Flamingo, but his contract won't start there to the 1st of June, like, to July, like, you know. So that's how it works, and I think that maybe that's something to do with it, like, you know. So, but it's all done, you know what I mean? Like, it's all agreed. I would even say that the medical's even done as well, Dan, like, you know what I mean? So, and you just put the paperwork in on the 1st of July, and I think that that's something to do with the financial things of 1 year's season and the next.
Well, I mean, there's rumours going around. Real Madrid are looking at him now. Xabi Alonso's the manager because that is his idol. Zubimendi absolutely loves him. He's not going to play every game at Real Madrid, in my opinion. But this is a quote that someone said. I don't know if this is true. My future is going to be a long summer. I don't know how it will end. If Xabi Alonso calls me to join Real Madrid, I've always said Xabi is my idol. Apparently, Lewis-Skelly has just been speaking about it, that he's now getting his head turned by Real Madrid. When that happens, I worry. If they're getting their head turned by Leverkusen or their head turned by Lazio, it doesn't bother me so much. But when it's Real Madrid, yeah, I hope this is done, and I hope that can just go through. Because
as far as I know, it's all done. Like, you know what I mean. So I don't think there's a problem with that, really. Like, you know what I mean. So.
Well, that sounds like
I wouldn't worry about that. I think that it's all done. Listen, you know, you're always going to get things like that, like, you know. And if it wasn't to happen, then, you know, I don't want him if that's how he feels.
Exactly.
So, but I don't think that is
that is true. I must say, I actually think Partey's better anyway. So you could argue that Zubimendi is coming in as a squad player at the moment until he gets in and Partey becomes a squad player. Because right now, Partey ain't done nothing wrong to people on the bench. He's been phenomenal for us this season, I've got to say. So we'll see. But look, I think it probably will get done if we believe what we read. Something that looks more unlikely, though, is Nico Williams. Today, there are rumours suggesting that he's probably going to be staying at the moment, and they're looking to try and tie him down to a new term contract. Bilbao have begun initial talks with Williams to renew his contract. Discussions have included a deal that would increase his current £58 million release clause and push the player's salary towards £10 million a year. That's come from Ben Jacobs. If I'm honest with you, Lee, the rumours are surrounding left midfield. That these two are the ones that we're looking at. In the wide areas, Arsenal have explored a number of options. The senior figures at the club have held talks with Leroy Sane. The expectation has been that Sane would renew with Bayern Munich, but Arsenal are an alternative if he decides to move on. Arsenal's coaching staff are also keen admirers of Rodrigo, whose I really want. However, the numbers associated with a hypothetical deal would be challenging. Arsenal's interest in Nico Williams is long-standing, while Anthony Gordon is another who the club like. But who would command a high fee? Look, there's enough names there. We've got Rafael Leao, people are speaking about Lookman, people are speaking about Mitoma. I know people have spoken about Semenyo from Bournemouth. There's a lot, if I'm honest, of names. We're definitely going to get a left winger. I don't know what that means for Martinelli and Trossard, but what do you see happening here, judges?
Yeah, do you know what? I think Sane may be one on the back of some big signings elsewhere. And I mean that, like, if we've got a big striker, like sign a big striker, another one in midfield. Say, for instance, they were to get two big, you know, like Zubimendi and another midfield player.
No, Rodgers.
Yeah, say if they got Rodgers or something like that, then I think that maybe they would go down the route of a cheaper option where they haven't got to spend like big, you know, free. Sometimes you have to be a little bit, what's the word? Smart in the transfer market as well, like, you know what I mean. So you buy big here, it's like when you go into Tesco's or Sainsbury's or something, you buy from that, and there's always saying on the little bargain, little words, I want there, like, you might fancy something from there, like, so that's how I would see that, like, you can't really afford the big one. We'll have to wait and see, like, like Eze's going to be, say if it's Eze they're going to go for, like, or Williams, that's a big deal. It's going to cost a lot of money, like, not just on transfer fee, on wages as well. Well, with the Sane one, it's just going to be wages. So I think it's one to look at further down. Like, Matoma is another one that I think it's going to cost a lot of money to pry him away from Brighton, like it is with Eze. These clubs now, like back in the day, they were desperate for money. They're not desperate for money no more. It's not like they have to sell, like, you know what I mean? Years ago, like, we've had a fantastic offer for Ian Wright, we're going to let him go. Did you think Crystal Palace wanted to let Ian Wright go? Of course they didn't. But financial implications meant that they had to. These clubs haven't got that problem now, like, you know what I mean? So, look at Bournemouth at this moment in time, 50 million just got for a central defender that nobody heard of a year ago.
Yeah.
They've all got, so they'll be looking at it and going, well, we don't have to sell the left winger now. We don't have to do this. Don't have to do that. So, but I think with Rodrigo, I'm not 100% sure that's a great deal for us when you're talking the money that it is, like, you know what I mean? I don't know,
I think it's probably 80 odd million for a 24-year-old international Brazilian who's won everything with Real Madrid. I think that's perfectly.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I think it's still a lot of money, Dan. You know what I mean. To prize him out of there, like, listen, we've done it with Sanchez, and it was a massive success when we got him from Barcelona. Like, he wasn't happy with the situation, was he, at Barcelona, and we had a fantastic deal there. So, listen, if he wants to leave Real Madrid, then
money, if you think about it, let's just say we've got 250 million. Let's just say, we don't know, could have more, could have less, but I think we're going to roughly be over 200 million. You're going to spend 65 on Gyokeres, 50 on Zubimendi, right? So that's 100 million on those two, let's say, right? Then you got your 85, let's say, for Rodrigo. So that's 185 million. So that's nearly 200. Then you've got your one more and your big signing for a Eze type player who's like a creative midfielder. And then you've got your player sales on top of that to get your backup keeper, your backup defender, your backup winger, whatever you want to get. I think that's the way in my head I'm thinking about it. I think it would actually be money quite well spent in that.
Yeah, I understand that, but don't forget you've still got to be renewing Gabriel, Saka, Saliba, which you're now going to be wanting big money. Now, at the end of the day, if you're Saliba, you're sitting there on 100 grand a week, and you got like Rodrigo coming in for 200,000 a week, Sane if it's him, or Eze or whoever, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to be going, well, hold on a minute. I've been here for 2 years, 3 years now. I'm worth more than that. So there's all those problems that have got to be on top. So everything's got to be negotiated properly, like, So I understand that everybody wants this and wants that. But there is a business side to it as well, which, you have to respect. And so sometimes, you look at Rodrigo, it might be a great signing, but it might not be for the implications further down the line. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, listen, I'd love to have him. Don't get me wrong. But, somebody says there, like, I think Ash is saying it, like, Havertz is on so much, but that's causing problems. Jesus, by the way, is on 180 grand a week. He ain't doing nothing for a year. It's just problems.
He's on more than that. The problem we got is we've bought these two strikers in Havertz and Jesus that ain't strikers and put them on strikers' wages. And now we're going to have problems getting strikers in because they ain't going to want to. Like, this Havertz deal, by the way, has messed everything up. Completely messed everything up, this has. And I know you're a fan, and I know I'm not doing this because my mum ain't a fan. I want Havertz as a squad player. I've done keep, sell,
on
TV. But it's going to be a massive problem now, Lee, because he's stuck these two players who aren't playing on ridiculous wages. So Saka, Saliba, Gabriel, Gyokeres if he comes in, Rodrigo if he comes in, are going to go, the squad players on 290 a week. I'll have 400 then, please. No, we can't. Okay, I'm going to go. Like that's the problem we got. This is why we've this up so big time with this Havertz thing, man. I can't believe we signed this guy, by the way, still. But I cannot believe we signed him for 65 million. Lewis-Skelly has just gone to 63 million to PSG. It is the biggest waste of money we've ever spent. It will go down as Mikel Arteta's worst signing. It is a ridiculous amount of money to spend on a bang average squad player. I cannot believe we've done it still. It makes me angry.
Well, listen, you know, I mean, Kai Havertz has got a lot to do, and he's got to prove everybody wrong. You know, he's got to come in whatever position he plays next season and make it work. Because you're right, you know what I mean. If you're looking at it, it's the 65 million. Yeah, it's you know, probably a little bit over the top, but it's the wages on top of that, like, you know. So you know, and I still think that he thinks that he's going to be there's a role for him in the team somewhere. Listen, I think that, you know, there are a few problems there that will have to be resolved, you know. So
if he plays him in midfield next year, I'm going to go and watch like Leyton Orient, I think. I can't deal with him playing in midfield.
You know, but I think there will be times that he will play in midfield, Dan. I really do. And listen, it might be different if he's got a Gyokeres up front and he is playing in the midfield. We don't know. That is the thing, like, you know what I mean? You know, sometimes players can get better around other players and whatever, like, you know. So I don't know. I think that, you know, for me, I don't see Havertz. If I'll be really honest, if we want to win the league, I don't see Havertz being one of our main players, the starting line. I think you need him as a squad player, but I think if you're going to win the league, you need a little bit better than that. Like, you know, he's not lethal enough. He's not lethal enough to be a striker, in my opinion. Does a good job, but not. He's not going to get you 20, 25 goals. We need someone that's going to get us 20, 25 goals. If he's not going to get you 20, 25 goals, it's going to have to come from the wide areas. And I'll be really honest, I don't even see that from the wide areas in Saka and Martinelli. I don't think they're lethal enough neither, if I'll be really honest. So you've got to have somewhere along the line be lethal.
Yeah, look, I'm more than happy with Havertz as a squad player, more than happy. But I don't want him starting every week. And if he ain't starting, I don't want him starting in the 11, playing in the bloody attacking 8 where he stunk the death out. That is not what I want to be seeing our midfield look like, you know? So that's where I'm at. But listen, we're going to come to a close with a couple of questions for you, judges, because I didn't actually get to ask you these. I'm going to give you 3 questions, actually. Player of the season, just gone. Who's yours for Arsenal?
You know what? So it comes down to it. I think Timber probably, but I think Lewis-Skelly's contribution last season was sensational.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. Timber was mine. The disappointment of the season in terms of a player.
Martin Odegaard.
Yeah, I think that one's obvious as well, to be honest. What about the unsung hero?
Oh, unsung hero for me. I think that you've got to say Gabriel. I know that he gets the plaudits and everything like that, but I think that he was better than Saliba last season. Saliba still gets all that sort of stuff. Up until the injury, was sensational defending. I thought he was brilliant last season. If not, probably I'd have to say Raya, if not.
Okay. So mine are a bit different, my two. I don't think Partey gets enough of love, if I'm honest. I think people are skipping past him.
That's a great call. Great call.
The two I'd actually say madly. One back end of the season. They're both back end of the season shouts, if I'm honest. And people say that our Champions League was the only thing we could be happy about. So that's why I'm going to look at Kivior and Marino as unsung heroes. Because Kivior come in and didn't put a foot wrong, to be fair to him. And everyone was like rolling their eyes. And Marino as a striker, I thought looked better than Kai Havertz. So I think them two is probably unsung. I mean, we spoke about enough how good they were in that period. Whether you think over a season they were good or not is a different debate. But in that chunk of what the job they were asked to do, I don't think they were spoken about enough. I think they did
do you know what? I couldn't agree with you more. I thought Marino's fantastic shout. Fantastic, because I think from January onwards, he at the end of the day, I like him now. I didn't rate him on anything. I wonder what he was doing, but I think that since from January onwards, he's done a fantastic job for Arsenal. And Kivior, I thought, was outstanding and deserves to be playing for more first-team football. Whether that be at Arsenal or not, I don't know. But he deserves it because I thought he was sensational when he came into the team. Really, Gabriel was missed, don't get me wrong, but it weren't like, you're walking out the stadium every week going, do you know when Saliba went down?
Yeah.
We miss Saliba. We never said, I'm never walking out going, we miss Gabriel. So that's just, on Kivior. I thought he was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
Yeah. And last question, how would you rate the season out of 10? People say I'm harsh. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. I thought it was a shambles of a season, but what are you saying, bro?
4 out of 10 for me. 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. I think, we didn't challenge for the league. It's been a poor season. I've not been entertained. Listen, I've come away from Arsenal for the last 3 seasons or 2 seasons, really looking forward to the next season. I couldn't wait for this season to end. That tells you everything you need to know, really. Yes, we've done well in the Champions League. I didn't think we was ever going to win it. I'll be honest. I felt that we was a striker away from winning it. And the other 2 cup competitions, well, all right, okay, we got to the semi-final, but that was a pathetic semi-final against Newcastle. I know Newcastle were brilliant, but we never turned up. And to lose to Man United at home with them down to 10 men and the worst Man United team I've seen in Premier League history, I think that's been sort of brushed under the carpet how poor that was, So and if I've been really honest, Dan, we never ever challenged for the title. Never. I didn't think one stage we was in a title race. There you go.
Me neither, mate. Went out of all the cups and we're never in a title race. That can't be anything other than a poor season. Look, big up to you, judges. It's been a good first show back from your holiday, to be fair. I've enjoyed it. Great for all the people in the chat as well. Thanks for your super chats and your comments. We're going to send you over to Terry. I'm on with him in about half hour with LB. So we're going to send you over there. So make sure you go and sit and hit the like and sit in there until me and LB appear. With Terry, we're going to be talking all things transfer window for all of our clubs. It sounds like it's going to be a busy one. So make sure you join us there. And judges, I'll let you say goodbye, mate.
Yeah, listen, enjoy the summer. Cricket's on. England versus West Indies. We've already won that. I'm looking out the window now and the sun is shining. Be good to everybody out there and have a good night.